News on Aau TV, your trusted voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Mamiukwa Utakwa Nyame.
And I am Ajiman Ochredako.
And now in our top stories, Egypt expands foreign branch campuses to promote internationalization. And also, body dissatisfaction can lead to eating disorders at any age.
In our Discovery story, Ghanaian businessman turns glass waste into new opportunities. And in our entertainment news, Ugandan-born British actress won the nominees for BAFTA Rising Star Award.
And now please stay with us for more news on AA. Egypt is establishing new branch campuses for international universities as part of its 2030 vision for sustainable development and to become a transnational higher education hub.
The latest Egyptian move for developing foreign campuses is the signing of an agreement on 11 January 2023 between Sierra Education and Canada-based Seneca College of Applied Arts and Technology, SCAAT, establishing two branches for SCAAT. Besides contributing to offering high-level and high-quality educational services to Egyptian students in various technological disciplines that characterize Seneca University, such as artificial intelligence, modern engineering, and business management, the two branches of Seneca University in Egypt will also contribute to attracting students from Arab and foreign countries. This will make Egypt a regional and international center in providing services in the field of higher education, scientific research, technology, and training, according to a statement posted on the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research Facebook page. Up to the present, several foreign university branches have been established in the new administrative capital in Egypt. Two branches of the University of Prince Edward Island in Charlottetown, Canada, and Ryerson University in Toronto hosted the Canadian Universities Foundation. The Coventry University in the UK's branch, hosted by the International Knowledge Universities Foundation, British University of Hertfordshire branch hosted by the Global Foundation, and the branch for the University of London and the British University of Central Lancashire hosted by the European University Foundation. Professor Hamed Eid of the Faculty of Science at Cairo University told University World News that opening branches for international universities will help in enhancing domestic higher education quality, equipping graduates with the necessary skills for the labor market, providing international education in Egypt, and achieving greater diversity and increasing competitiveness. According to Eid, these new foreign universities branches will increase Egypt's appeal to local Arab and African students who look for studying abroad, along with reducing the academic brain drain. It remains to be seen, but it is a good start. Expanding further, Nigel Haley, Professor of International Higher Education and Vice President for Global and Community Relations at the University of Limerick in Ireland, told University World that there are several benefits to countries of hosting international branch campuses, including absorbing otherwise unmet demand for higher education, building capacity in new disciplines like cybersecurity, and accelerating the development of the domestic university system.
And also, the annual New Year School 2023 at the University of Ghana has set the pace on the road for various stakeholders towards the African Continental Free Trade Area.
During the opening of the 74th Annual New Year School and Conference, ANYSC&C, at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana, chaired by the Chancellor of the University, Mrs. Mary Chenry Hesse. Mrs. Mary Chenry Hesse, chairperson of the event, in her introductory remarks, acknowledged the dedication of the School of Distance Learning and Education for sustaining the annual New Year School and Conference concept for the 74th consecutive years. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Appiah-Amfo, in her address said, African leaders in recent decades have championed the need for regional economic cooperation, particularly in terms of trade and investment. The launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area in 2021 was therefore highly rooted as a global game changer. The General Secretary of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfTA, His Excellency Wamkele Mene, in delivering the keynote address, lauded the tradition of the annual New Year School and Conference, ANYSNC, to serve as a unique forum for policymakers, academia, corporate institutions, and people from diverse backgrounds to engage in discussions on issues of national interest for the development of Ghana. The chairman of the annual New Year School and Conference Advisory Team, Honorable Sam Okujeto, in giving his statement, appealed for more support from corporate institutions and individuals to help realize the success of the committee, whose main objective is to ensure that annual New Year School and Conference becomes an autonomous institution that funds itself to ensure that there is a proper dissemination of knowledge and information. Present at the event was the chairman and CEO of Magdan Group of Companies, Mr. Daniel Macaulay, who in a statement said that despite the challenges of economic growth and development issues that are faced by Ghana, he fervently hoped that the issues of yesterday will become tomorrow's opportunities. Aau TV engaged a couple of participants and invited guests after the event, and this is what they had to say about the teams.
One of the things we need to remember as young people is the fact that most businesses, most top companies were born out of adversity. Adversity is in where the wake-up call comes, is in where discomfort is in where you actually build. So I want to give entrepreneurs a challenge, and I want to also give them hope and tell them that some of us have been in the corporate sector, for me maybe 30-something plus years now, and almost 25 years owning my own business, starting as a side hustle. So for a young person, you can do it.
AfTA has come at an opportune time because the African Union was proclaimed by Nkrumah and Haile Selassie. Since then, we have virtually dismantled the thing that should unite us. So AfTA becomes the unifying factor now. Just like the European Union have come together, the larger the market, the better it is for the youth, because this is the challenge for them. Entrepreneurship is something that has to be inculcated into our psychic. Look, we have raw materials. We have fantastic opportunities for people to use their talent, God-given talent. But all of us want to go to university and get a degree just for the sake of a degree. Degree is of no use unless you use the talent you've gained. In fact, I claim that university is only to train your mind to think. And so think. I think the youth have a fantastic opportunity to take advantage of the
Oh, Ajaman, so there we have it at the University of Ghana's annual New Year's School. Yep. I think I would want to find out how well the various stakeholders involved are well positioned regarding their task ahead when it comes to AfTA.
Well, you can't count one. There are a plethora of stakeholders in here. We have the youth, we have the informal sector, we have women, we've got higher education, policymakers, and a whole lot. But basically, if I was to pick from what the Honorable Sam Okujeto just said, he is saying that, I mean, everybody has a role to play in AfTA, but basically, it has come at a time where young people should be the core drivers. You know, the energy, the creativity, innovativeness comes within the circles of young people, and we should be the ones who drive the agenda. And what we need is to be able to work with our minds, because the university cannot give us that soft skill impetus to be able to implement. We need to use our minds and then make things happen. And also, the very first interview, we also expressed that even though we, in times of adversities, we experience the difficulty challenges trying to implement AfTA, there is a time we should be able to make things happen. Be very core entrepreneurial, bring out the best in us.
Yeah, I think I am much more concerned about the role of the younger ones because, of course, government and other stakeholders know exactly how they are supposed to contribute to the implementation of AFTA, but how exactly are we going to infuse the roles and works of these young ones into this implementation process?
You know, regular awareness creation, and as we create awareness, I don't know if there could be an AFTA curricular development in institutions to be able to take them through the whole Agenda 2063 and how AFTA is the future of the African continent. But what I know is that that is where you and I, as if we're students, that is where we need to now step off our comfort zones and look out for more how we can contribute to this continental agenda. Maybe higher education's curriculum may not make a difference, but we can also go out there and get information for ourselves and be part of this.
Yeah, you know, someone listening to us from their various homes would perhaps ask themselves, what at all is the African Continental Free Trade Area? So if you could do us the honors.
Basically, it's trying to create a single market for the African continent, which is worth over $2.3 billion that we can harness. We try to export or import from Western countries, foreign countries, and the continent itself hasn't had a chance to trade amongst itself. It's so difficult. It's awfully difficult to have trade go on within the African continent. It's about time that we break and harden the divides and engage each other through free entry and also free trade of humans and goods. It's African. We are Africans. We should do this.
Yeah, indeed, we are Africans and we should do this. Health News is up next.
Finds that body satisfaction is a primary cause of eating disorders, especially during perimenopause.
Eating disorders are serious mental health conditions characterized by disturbance in eating behavior and body image that occur in approximately 13.1% of women across the lifespan. The prevalence of eating disorders specifically for women older than 40 years is roughly 3.5%, with specific symptoms such as dissatisfaction with eating patterns being documented as high as 29.3%. Serious complications such as high mortality and morbidity are associated with eating disorders. These adverse health events are likely to be magnified when present at older ages. However, few studies on eating disorders have included participants at midlife, including premenopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause. There is some evidence that supports the idea that perimenopausal women have the highest rates of deregulated eating behaviors. Example, weight control behaviors such as regular counting of calories or consumption of diet food of any reproductive stage at midlife, and are significantly different from premenopausal women with regards to body dissatisfaction and feelings of fatness. Although findings such as these remain scant, the association between eating disorders and symptoms of premenopause, example, negative mood, depression, and fatigue, confirm that perimenopause may be a particularly risk time for eating pathology. In this small study, which sought to investigate the structure of eating disorder symptoms specifically during premenopause and early postmenopause, the researchers used network analysis statistical models to compare the structure and importance of specific eating disorder symptoms across reproductive stages. Although they admit that larger studies are necessary with this unrepresented female population, the researchers believe that the study confirms that dissatisfaction with body image is a key risk factor for eating disorders across the lifespan, especially at midlife. The study shows that, similar to studies in young adults, dissatisfaction with body image remains a core feature of eating disorder pathology in midlife women, specifically fear in gaining weight and fear in losing control over eating habits are central symptoms of eating disorders in premenopause and early menopause. These findings may help direct more targeted treatment strategies in women during midlife, says Dr. Stephanie Fabian, NAM's medical director.
So stick with us for more news on Discovery after the short break. We'll be right back.
Hey, so this is Dishant from Unica University Common Application. I recommend you to watch AAU television.
AAU TV is the place to be.
well-being is in your hands. Sanitize regularly. Stay safe. GTB, timeless.
You're welcome to Discovery segment. And at Krobo Dumase in the eastern region of Ghana, glass waste is being recycled into interior decor by one of Ghana's only certified hot glass blowers, reviving a lost art and creating a local industry for handmade glassware.
In the small town of Krobo Odumase, glass waste is being recycled into interior decor. The area is fast becoming an epicenter for glass beads and an emerging hot glass industry. Michael Tete is thought to be one of Ghana's only certified hot glass blowers, reviving a lost art and creating a local industry for handmade glassware. Using only waste glass from broken bottles to windows, Tete believes he's reusing several tons of glass waste that would otherwise end up at a dump or landfill site. Tete trained in glass blowing in the Netherlands with 2 other colleagues and is one of only a handful of people hoping to revive the lost art in Ghana. In his factory, manned by himself, his family, and 1 female apprentice, they produce dozens of glassware items daily. Scarce funding and lack of support did not deter Tete from building this hot glass factory from scratch some 10 years ago. He designed and helped build almost all the equipment and machinery, including kilns and the annealer he uses to heat and cool his works. Tete is now training his family, including young son Caleb, in the art of glass blowing. He hopes his children will carry on the art and business someday. In the future, Tete hopes to build a modern glass blowing training institute where interested people can learn the art of hot glass.
So we have in here Jemima to the trending news on sports and entertainment. Jemima, how you doing?
I'm good, yourself?
Great, you're looking good.
You look good too.
So tell us what's happening in sports and entertainment.
You know, with sports, I have something on street tennis, and with our entertainment news, an African has been nominated for an award.
Great.
So Rwanda has introduced street tennis, a new sport recently introduced following the bilateral partnership between Rwanda and Barbados, a country in the West Indies.
The Rwandan government has always encouraged sports and physical practice, and it plans to expand street tennis to different parts of the country. Often played in recreation areas and residential areas, this sport can also be used to develop tennis skills, organize regional tournaments, or attract tourists. This game has the advantage of attracting many people, both Rwandans and foreigners. It can also create opportunities for tourism. The country has many roads in the city of Kigali and around the capital. It's a game that doesn't require a lot of infrastructure, so as long as it's aimed at communities, people are receiving it very positively. Barbados is the home of the famous godfather of tennis, Dayton Paroch. Road tennis is widely played on the island, and it has already been successfully exported to California, USA. Rwanda is the first African country to host the sport. Rwandan sports officials say the game is very affordable and can be played by anyone provided they have the space.
Moving on, the British Academy Film Awards announced recently the nominees of the year's prestigious BAFTA Rising Star Award, with Sheila Intim featuring as a nominee.
The BAFTA Rising Star Awards panel, which included industry jurors as well as hosts of casting directors, producers and experts, shortlisted 4 actresses and an actor. The list was unveiled during a press conference at the Savoy Hotel in London. Ugandan-born British actress Sheila Atten, who starred in historical epic The Woman King, is among the nominees. Sheila expressed her delight because she loves the award. Naomi Aki, whose credits include Star Wars Episode 11, The Rise of Skywalker, and Small Axe, is currently riding high on UK box office chart with Whitney Houston, I Wanna Dance with Somebody. Even though she was over the moon about her nomination, she confessed walking the red carpet as a nominee in February will be no piece of cake. Sheila Atom played the Omi fighter, Amenza, in The Woman King. That was co-produced by the Golden Globe Awards-winning actress Viola Davis. Naomi Aki is global superstar Whitney Houston in the latest biopic dedicated to the American singer. The BAFTA Rising Star Award winner will be announced on the 19th of February. Now, in the 18th year, the Rising Star Award is the only BAFTA voted for by the British public. The voting window is now open.
For sports and entertainment news, my name is Jemima Daladem Duche. Up next is business news.
So in business, it has been nearly a year since European leaders and their African counterparts converged in Brussels for a summit billed at the beginning of a renewed partnership between the two continents.
The summit's final declaration, dubbed the Joint Vision for 2030, promised, among other things, to invest in Africa $25 billion per year over the next 7 years, 450 million COVID vaccines, and over $300 billion to spend on energy and infrastructure. Almost a year later, European leaders and other African counterparts are struggling to get moving. There has been no major decision from Brussels on investments or infrastructure, two things African leaders deeply care about. The war in Ukraine has had Europe distracted and even caused tension for African countries who have chosen neutrality. The summit also appears to have done little to improve mutual trust. With Europe still not keen on supporting a patent waiver on vaccines, doubts have grown on whether Brussels is serious about Africa's health sovereignty ambitions. Gert Laporte is a Europe-Africa expert at the European Centre for Development Policy Management. He joins the show with insight on how the two continents can advance their often fractious, complex relationship. A dollar shortage in Ethiopia has put so much strain on the local currency, the birr, with a major gulf in the official and the black market exchange rates. As a remedy, the country's central bank is considering devaluing the currency. The move is necessary for Addis Ababa to attract IMF support and to boost exports. A majority of private and public sector chief economists surveyed by the World Economic Forum expect a global recession in 2023. It is not good news for African economies already struggling to recover from pandemic stress.
Now, please stay tuned for more on international news right after this break.
And now Sri Lanka stands heavily indebted to China and the International Monetary Fund after a debt trap loan agreement from Beijing to finance high-profile projects.
The Washington-based institution, infamous for its loan terms and conditions, has agreed to provide Sri Lanka with a $2.9 billion loan to cope with its balance of payments crisis, making it difficult to import essential products like food, fuel, and medicine, causing social unrest. But Beijing has been holding the IMF package up, as the terms of the loan could set a bad precedent for the loans it has made to other countries from Southeast Asia to Africa. Sri Lanka has been on the doorsteps of the IMF multiple times, asking for assistance to cope with debt crisis. For instance, in 2016, President Maithripala Sirisena's government requested a $1.5 billion loan from the IMF to cope with another balance of payments crisis and support economic reform. More recently, President Mahinda Rajapaksa's government took large loans from China to fund infrastructure projects such as the construction of ports and airports, which led to a significant debt burden for the country. The current government has also continued to take loans from China to fund infrastructure projects, still renegotiating the terms of some of these loans. Sri Lanka's close ties with China has resulted in a debt trap which dates back to 2007 when Beijing provided President Mahinda Rajapaksa with military and diplomatic assistance to fight the Tamil Tigers. Over time, they became closer with high-profile construction projects like the Deep-Sea Hambantota Port Project, the Colombo Port City Complex, and the Matala Rajapaksa International Airport, MRIA. Proponents of these projects argue that they helped the country improve its infrastructure and turn the country into a regional transportation hub. Opponents argue that they are debt traps. Some aren't economically viable as they don't serve enough people to justify the resources committed to them, like MRIA Airport. As a result, they end up wasting the country's precious resources. Others are economically viable but constructed at too high a cost by Chinese state construction companies rather than the private contractors under transparent and competitive bidding. In addition, these projects were financed by loans from Chinese state-owned banks at high interest rates and lack transparency, leaving Sri Lanka heavily indebted to Beijing.
Thank you for staying with us, and now we take a quick look at our headlines. Top story as well.
Now on higher education, Egypt expands foreign branch campuses to promote internationalization. And also, body dissatisfaction can lead to eating disorders at any age.
Now, Discovery story, getting businessman turns glass waste into new opportunities. And on TV News, Ugandan-born British actress among nominees for BAFTA Rising Star Award.
And I'll thank you very much for sticking with us on the Midweek News on Aau TV, and get interactive with us on our dedicated news hub via tv.aau.org.
And do enjoy the rest of your day, and do well to also exercise and stay alive. My name is Ajay Mochidako.
And I am Amikwa Utwakwa Nyame.
Have a nice day.